Okay, so today we're doing something a little bit different. If you remember the stream from a couple days ago, we were testing a Doppler radar. Well, that Doppler radar has failed. So, um, radar, not all radar works the Doppler effect. That's actually wrong. It's not true at all. There are different types of radar. There's pulse Doppler, there's true Doppler, and then there's plain out radar, which sends out a signal and listens for it. So I'm going to go through the issue that we're having with the radar here, and just open up a serial monitor. This is not this code that you're going to see is not what the radar runs off of. It's different, but we're just going to use serial monitor to help see what we're getting, and as you can see, we are getting a whole lot of nothing. There's no communication from the radar to the computer. Now, a couple things can happen here. Okay, what's most likely happening is our transmitter. Okay, that's responsible for the board on the transmitter is responsible for sending our analog signals back to the logic controller. If that does not get any of the analog signals in, it will not have anything to output to the serial on the computer, so you'll get a blank screen. So what we're going to do is go ahead and change out the transmitter and control board, and I'm going to show you here through the microscope after I showed you the issue. This is actually S-band. So let's plug in our microscope camera, and we actually got a new microscope camera. This one is less lousy. So let's go ahead and I'll show you through the microscope. Sorry that I don't have a camera today, because we're going to be testing the radar, and I'm limited on USB ports until I get my docking port for my ThinkPad, since my desktop decided to die. So let's remove this here, and I'll add microscope output. 1 second here. Microscope output. Alright, so let's have a look at our transmitter. Let's unplug everything, and notice we do have a wire soldered to the board on the transmitter, and here's why. If we use the digital pin on the transmitter, what we're going to get is a signal that goes high for 2 seconds. That is garbage. We want the raw data. So that's our wire soldered, and this is our board for our transmitter. The thing that's outputting our signal is this guy right here. If you kind of see the antenna. That's conformal coating around it. How that works, I don't know, but that's our antenna right there, and this board needs to come out. So this board is junk. It's siliconed in, so what I'm going to do is just get something, stick under it. We don't care if we break it because it's already broken. We get a flathead screwdriver. You know what I'll even use? I'll use an X-Acto knife, and no, that's probably not going to work well. Silly me thinking it's a good idea to silicone something in. Let's look at your comments. All the radar I use is transmitted to me for tracking on our threat systems. This is actually a project I'm working on. This is going to be for weather. It's mounted on a big dish. I just have the controller here. I'm looking for something to get this board out. Stick a screwdriver under it, something. Second here. There we go. So our transmitter board is out. Just connect ground, all the wires. It's out. I'll show you. It's our antenna right there. These sensors aren't that high powered at all, but we're going to try and make it work. I've done it before, and I'll do it again. So first of all, let's desolder this little wire right here, and take note that's the 4th pin in that we need to solder it back to on the other one. So let's just, for my iron to get hot, it's going to be miserable because of the conformal coat. There we go. Some nasty fumes right there. One thing I noticed is, does that chip Yeah, it does. It has lettering on it. So new ones definitely have the... Now I'm gonna have to get this this pin header out. So I'm gonna hit it with my hot air. Make sure I get fume extraction on. This is conformal coat is nasty. I'll go back to your comments real quick. Nobody else has joined. Wait a second. Not gonna have the FCC bust. Well, why would the FCC bust down my door is the question. What would they be interested in? What radar are you talking about? I don't know what radar you're talking about. No. We're well within what the FCC is going to be worrying about here. I'm probably going to melt this pin header out. So let's attempt to get this out without completely mangling it. And did we just lose microscope output? I sure did. Why am I losing that? Come on. OBS is being weird. Alright, so I'm going to get my hot air. I'm not going to need a high temperature to get this off. I'm going to use a high airflow, and I'm going to use like, let's say 380 or 350. We shouldn't have a problem. Or even 330, because this board, let's get this board nice and hot first. Really, this is going to be a pain because the board is so small. That's the issue here. Is this board is alright. Yeah, so compare this board in my hand, you know, you guys can't see it because the microscope is zoomed in, but no, it's because it's not clear because the way I'm trying to get this thing out. Okay, so it's sitting at an angle, so it's not focused. That's all. It's being a real pain. So I'm gonna have to. So what I'm trying to do is get this. And we lost the camera output again. Why does that keep happening? Is it an OBS issue? Is it a computer issue? Okay. Right now, things with any electronics of my own, it's not going well. I mean, the radar, the microscope camera, my desktop. I mean, what else now? So I'm gonna be off camera a little bit here. I'm gonna try and yank this thing out. You know what? Where is my not really seeing anything on Microscope. Let me see if I could find my other camera. I don't know what I did with it. 1 second here. Here it is. Alright, so we're gonna switch to the regular camera because Microscope's not working right. It's not that it's not working right, it's you guys aren't seeing anything, so get this up. You get to see what my office looks like today. It's a mess. MacBook boards, iPhones, everything on my bench right now, so alright, this should be a little bit better. Yeah, I get to work with component level stuff and this stuff because I built it, you know. So we have to get this pin header out. You can see that. And it's becoming a pain, so I'm trying to clamp it. Not clamp it, but if the board was bigger, it wouldn't be a problem. How am I going to get this out? This is something so simple that I should be able to do it. I don't know what this has. Alright, I need to figure out a way to stop this board from moving. I have to clamp it between something. So I shove it in between. No. Don't have one of those board holders either. That would be of help. What do I have that's heavy? It's not gonna melt. I don't have anything. The closest thing I have that's heavy is my spool of solder, but that's gonna melt. Let me try a different pair of tweezers, a big pair of tweezers to grip onto it. And then what I'll do is a vise would help. Exactly. Or one of those Hakko things. You know what? I'm gonna go hot. Let's just go to... I'll hit it with 380. I'll get it off real quick. So... know what? Never mind with this. We'll just solder the wires in the new one. Why not? Why not just solder the wires in the new one? Okay, so let's get a new transmitter. I keep several of them here just in case. So yeah, we're just gonna solder. We're just gonna solder the. Just gonna solder the pins in. Okay, so again, I wish I had more USB ports. So you guys are gonna have to miss out on Microscope for today. Let's solder our ground in. Ground, we're gonna use. It's gonna have to be a white wire. It'll work. We only need to solder one wire for ground. For 2 wires, we only need ground and 5 volts. That's all this thing runs off of is 5 volts, but it works quite well. Where's my Flux? Another pile of motherboards. Powered USB hub. Yeah, I tried that, but it doesn't work. Meaning the one that I have doesn't work. I'm not saying it won't help, but in general. The person in chat that said hi and hope you're doing well. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but thank you. Yeah, I tried my USB hub and it didn't work. So here's ground. Let's just trim it. Get our wire cutters. My Gull X-Lite 170. Cut that as close as we can. Okay, Hamdi, thank you. The T at the end threw me off. Okay, so this is going to be our ground. Now for our 5 volt, let's see what color wires. We're running some new wires for this thing. Use an orange one, that'll work. VIN, which is, this can run off 3.3 or 5 volts, but 5 volts is more stable. So that's what we're running off of. Do I miss the working distance? Not really. I mean, the image clarity and quality now we gotta do one to pin 4 of this chip. So let's get a little, let's trim our pin. Now we got to go 1 to pin 4, which is the analog output for our board. A little bit of solder on that. It'd be a whole lot easier if this board didn't move around so much. Probably 7 oaks. Something a little bit different today. So we're gonna have some Macs. I might do a Mac tomorrow. I don't know. Depends on how I feel. So it's our last wire, and then I think we could plug it in and test the radar. For all I know, it's not this. So I'm hoping it's this and not the PLC, but we'll see. Okay. Just gotta go to pin A5 on the board. This is gonna go to white's gonna go to ground. And 5 volts is gonna go to 5 volts. So let's power our board up. So you're gonna lose the, let me get display capture up real quick. You're gonna lose our camera for a second here. Display capture. Alright. I really hope this works. Alright, I messed with my output for a second here. Yeah, you should have sound back. Alright, let's hope. Still nothing. Okay, do we have our COM port right? Yes. Ground 5 volt. Okay, now let's measure if we're getting any voltage at the transmitter. So we have 0 volts at the transmitter. Do we? No. 1.58 volts on our 5 volt line does not sound normal. I know we have 5.09 volts. The sensor is actually working. I'm measuring voltage and it's going up as I'm moving. So the sensor is working. Let's give it a minute to stabilize. Yeah, the sensor is actually responding to my movements. But the board is not. The brain isn't working. Okay, so here's what I concluded. Lots of buffering. Blame Time Warner. Okay, so our sensor actually appears to be working. Oh, I need an oscilloscope. Okay. Our board is done, that's why. Yeah, we're getting fluctuations on the... See, this is where an oscilloscope helps, but I'm measuring on our output pin, we're getting voltage. So the sensor is working, but we're not getting... The board isn't doing its job. Okay, let me go get another board. I'll be right back. I'm going to end the stream right now. I'll be back in like 5 minutes, so give me a minute.